Alright, for the front turn signals, again we're using all Maxima series, and you know, as I said, we got this at Peterbilt store here in Seattle, and you can pick different outsides. For the Scout, really all I did, I'm sorry I don't have micro on here, was drilled 2 holes right on the very edge, and I rounded out these holes. So all I did was just the corners. Just rounded out, actually just one side I think is all I had to do on these. Again, I have a little bit of, sorry for the non-focusing here, just a little bit of insulation, just so I don't have to bind the screws all the way into the sheet metal, and they'll keep it from rattling and buffered a little bit. These lights do snap out, and I will take them, well, they're pretty easy to take out. You just move these tabs. The other thing, the Maxima, if you go with the mainline semi-truck factories, the Maxima brands are completely sealed, so you have a waterproof piggy tail that you have to buy to attach to the light and go in there. Also did new grounds, and so you get front and turn. And these are the 60 LEDs, and again you can get the black rubber grommet ones. I like the snap-on ones because they fit just in that little hole a little bit more. I'll turn them on for you. Alright, you see the 60 LEDs, and honestly the camera doesn't pick up in the darkness, but the night shots that I did, these actually just alone, you could walk around the truck just from the light of the LEDs, and you can actually see when you put your brake lights on. It just lights up the back area of the truck really well. Alright, so the tail section is identical to the front. It does the brake turn signal, Maxima 60 LED, completely sealed with the waterproof pigtail here. Again, build yourself a new ground, and then you know, crimp in your other wires. Now, again, I apologize for not being able to zoom in here. What I did is, and this is one of the things I would do differently if I were to do it again. For one, I haven't finished this and done the bodywork part, and again, it's a 1.5 years later since I did it, and I still haven't got to it. Is I had some 22 gauge steel lying around, and the lowest set of my little wire feed welder, I just sort of spot welded it. The body is actually thicker than the 22 gauge, so you had to start your weld and then draw it across into here. And I'll show you when I started on the other side first. I actually got some burn through spots even on 22 gauge. It was really just, my welder wouldn't go any lower, so I had to start a spot in the thicker body of the Scout and then roll it over, and hopefully you can kind of see that. But again, these are just cut out to the shape of the lights, and then this is a huge insert area here where the stock is, and I do not have reverse lights as of right now. So I do have a spot below here where I was going to put a little 1-inch or 2-inch dot, but haven't got to that yet, and I'm sure I will down the road. So again, like I said, not perfect. It's just incomplete, really. From a distance you don't notice at all, and again, I like the chrome accent rings. You can get the rubber, but I think in this installation it works better not to have a rubber seal on the inside. Alright, now forgive me, I know this isn't going to focus that well. I have one inside that I'll show you a little bit different. There are various LED side markers you can get for semis, for trailers and stuff. I wanted to keep the stock housing, so in order to do that I had to come up with a little bit different way to do it. Now I did get rid of the stock reflectors because they are darker. They're colored the red and the yellow, and the LEDs in here are colored. So this was never meant to be permanent, and you know, we're a 1.5 years later and I still haven't gotten around to fix that. You'll see the fit and finish on like my plexiglass is sort of just roughed out. I wanted to get them on here to see if they were actually going to work, and then I never came back to them. And you'll see in the other videos I'll roll in here, but you have the 2 main screws just like you do on the regular stock one, and you have a little metal tab that's made to go in and then the back of the light, so that when you screw the back part down, it brings that tab forward and it locks the light in to your position, and then it locks it into the square hole in the side of the housing here. And when I go inside and show you, I'll show you exactly what that means. And here's the marker lights turn on. Again, the back two are red and the front two are amber. There's the ambers. This is one of the mock-up side markers here. And you can see what the original look like. Let me get some close-ups here. This was the original LED housing. Now, if you look these up, these are actually going to be an interior accessory light. Basically, it has a chrome cover that goes on it. What I did, and you'll see in the pictures that I roll in, is just took some of that flashing that they use to reinforce 2x4s and just cut it down. And I think I used shoe glue on it, that just so the screws had something to bite into, because there's no nut or anything on the back. That way, because the way the Scout marker lights come in and you have to get that tab pulled out, you have to screw them in from this direction, and with everything there, I just needed to have something to bite on the back. So that pretty much takes care of the lighting of the Scout. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Alright, for the auxiliary lights, I have two sets of light force, and we'll show the other ones here in a second. And we just have my homemade bumper here, and this is just 2-inch square tubing, and all I've done is removed a section so that I can fit my wrench up here to tighten up this bolt. So instead of doing tabs, I think it's a sturdier build. Now with the light force, it's an Australian company. They use polycarbonate, lightweight materials, so even when you get to the bigger lights I'll show you later, there isn't a lot of weight. That bolt here and the bolt here holds us steady. They don't do a lot of bouncing around. They also have the ability to focus like a mag light. Back in the 80s, everyone wanted to have 8 lights on their truck. With these, if I'm in, say, Western Washington, where it's tight trails and I can't see far down the road, I can wind these out to a flood, and then when I get to Oregon, so like I was saying, after I get interrupted, these can also narrow down into a spot beam. So if I'm down in Central Oregon, the high desert area where I can see for miles, I can really shoot these super far down the road, and it's just as simple as twisting them. And it unwinds from here. These sort of help stabilize it. Now on top of that, polycarbonate lenses, these caps that you see the light force on, come off. And I'll show you with the bigger pair that I have that actually will shape the beams. So you really have a diverse effect. Now you'll also notice that this is the only time I'll ever advocate HID kits, and that's for off-road use only. The other reason is I only use these when I'm actually way out in the middle of nowhere. Some states require you to put your driving beams tied into your high beams, so that you can't have your driving lights on while you're driving with regular low beams on. Every state's going to be a little bit different with the way you wire these up. Because I don't need these except for when it's extremely dark, I went with the HID kit and basically drilled out the center section and just modified this unit so it's in here. Now I probably will redo it. I think I need to bring the bulb a little bit deeper, just to get, it's just really too much light output for these lenses to angle them. And then I just have 2 ballasts on each side, and they're wired up just the same. Alright, so here you're going to see the other light force light. It's their 240 series. It's quite a bit bigger, you can see. And this is one example of the lenses you can get. Not only can you change the colors, but you can see this lens shaping beam here, essentially what it's going to do is going to give you a completely flat light, just like a bar. And so as you wind this tighter like a mag light on here, the bar is going to get wider and narrower. So you can really just lock down a small beam of light, or you can broaden it out. And then by adjusting the outside cover, you can make it level, because you're turning this over this. This is the original xenon bulb that they have, the 100 watt for the 240 series. The nice thing about this is you saw the one mounted on my truck with the HID. This is all the same thread. I can put the 170 on the 240. I can put the 240 bulb on, or the reflector onto the other one that I have. It doesn't really matter. I originally had these on there because HID takes a while to warm up, and usually when you want high beams, you want them now. But because I would never use the ones I have on the truck now anywhere near anybody else in front of me, cities or anything like that. It's just for backcountry use only, so there's no issue of me turning it on and turning it off like I used to have. And you'll see in some of the other photos, I've had them on a number of different rigs.